Here's another spot where I check back. I think with this stack, his dominant reaction to a bet is going to be a raise or a fold, and I don't really want either to happen. So I check back, and I think I'm going to call one, and I decide to call this river. 10-Jack got there. My range is pretty face up. I just kind of have to guess. I think this player's been very aggressive so far, and I expect him to be leading the turn pretty wide and leading the river pretty wide. So he had Queen 9, and I had the best hand on the turn. He made 2 pair on the river. I think the river is... It's just basically a guessing game about how aggressive... about how aggressive and how airy he's going to be on turn and river combined. Some of his combos got there, and some of his combos were already ahead. I basically just have to guess. And we'll never know whether or not that call is getting against his ranges or not. Here I decide to 3-bet for value. I don't really like my sizing. I think it's a little bit on the small side, out of position this deep. I'd prefer something in the 450 to 480 range. But I think I should be 3-betting this for value against a player this passive, and this player's been fairly aggressive, I think, in sort of a fairly limited sample of hands he's been at the table, peeling a 3-bet. He's been involved in a lot of pots since he got here, so I think 9s is far enough ahead of their range, and getting this pot heads up is... there's a lot of value in getting this pot heads up. The arguments against 3-betting are that obviously we're out of position. It's going to be difficult to bet 9s for value on some textures, depending on how thinly I want to go for value. There's going to be paint cards on a lot of these textures. There's going to be overcards on, I think, about half of flops. It's been a while since I've run that math. But basically, I expect to have trouble value betting 9s. Have trouble value betting them several times on Jack XX, Queen XX flops, even though I shouldn't necessarily from a game theory standpoint, depending on how much I'm 3-betting. So, being out of position and having a hand that's tough to value bet are decent arguments, and I think this is pretty close between a call and a 3-bet. I decided to 3-bet here and got the pot heads up, which is pretty valuable when I'm going to be out of position deep with a hand that makes a pair. Here I think betting is better than check anything. I do have some backdoor straight draws, which help, but mostly I just think checking gets us owned a whole lot on future streets, lets him get to showdown cheaply with his, the weaker part of his range that beats us, lets him put pressure on us with the stronger part of his range and the very weak part of his range that doesn't beat us, and gives free cards, like every king, queen, jack is bad. And I just think, even though I don't think we're necessarily folding better or getting called by worse when we bet there, I think it's a good spot to bet again, like the ace-9 offhand from much earlier. It's a good spot to bet in order to make future decisions more optimally.